Hi, my name is Virginia Stodden McDavid, Democratic nominee in Texas House District 138 in Houston. Many of you may know me by my nickname, Jenny. This district encompasses near north neighborhoods including Oak Forest, where my husband and I live, and parts of Spring Branch. Thanks for taking the time to watch our videos. I hope that by the end of it you'll have a better idea of who I am and how we can work together to improve the lives of Texans living in the area. If you live in the Gulf Coast area, my thoughts and prayers are with you for any of you with serious human or material loss due to Hurricane Ike. Why am I running for the state legislature? Well, I'm dissatisfied with our leadership out of Austin and feel that we need a more ordinary voice in the legislature and a more forward-thinking approach to dealing with Texas's problems. Texas ranks high in too many of the bad things and low in too many of the good things, and we need to reverse that trend. With the Gulf Coast area reeling from the effects of Hurricane Ike, it's especially important that our public officials have the right priorities in mind when making recovery decisions, and my family also has been impacted with structural damage to our home and the extended power outage. What makes me equipped to be a good state legislator? Well, by training, I've worked as a CPA for 20 years with both public and private industry experience and managed my own tax and financial services practice for over 7 years, so I understand the difficulty in the ups and downs of a business and trying to make payroll. I am a product of the public schools from first grade through college at Texas Tech in Lubbock, and don't feel that a public education shortchanged my learning in any way. I went to college at $4 to $16 a credit hour and borrowed money at 4% interest, and I know those days are gone. In addition to my small business background, I've served as a bilingual Spanish-English flight attendant for a major airline, traveling to over 38 countries since 1986. As I've traveled all over the world and country, I've always tried to pick up a local paper and see how other communities deal with the same issues we grapple with, namely infinite needs and wants with finite resources. Flying has also allowed me to serve my country during the first Gulf War, and I was awarded a Civilian Medal of Honor from the U.S. Air Force in 1993 for my part in my airline service shuttling troops to and from the Middle East on commercial carriers. I've also found it rewarding working with my colleagues in our flight attendant union, IAMAW Local Lodge 2339, as I feel that due process on the job and worker say, conditions, and pay is critical for the success of a company truly interested in benefiting all the stakeholders. My family has roots to the Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma, and Native Americans never make an important community decision without looking into the future at least 7 generations. In today's disposable culture, we're lucky if our leaders look beyond the next quarter and weighing important matters with long-term consequences. What is Virginia's vision for a better Texas? My values should be similar to yours: safe streets, sharp minds, sound bodies, and strong consumer protections. Let's start with the first one. To make our streets safer, let's be smart on crime and not just tough, and figure out better, more affordable ways of dealing with the mentally ill and the drug addicted than relying on law enforcement to deal with these serious social issues. Sharp minds. Let's strengthen our public schools and make college more affordable. Siphoning away tax dollars to private schools is no way to strengthen our public schools, which are already stretched to the limit, and the state needs to quit handing down unfunded mandates to school districts. We also need to make college more affordable because college costs have gone up 112% since tuition deregulation in 2003, and I will fight to make college education once again affordable for average Texas families. Sound bodies. We need to improve access to clean air, water, and affordable health care, and ensure a woman's right to make her own health care decisions with minimal government interference. I grew up with asthma, and I'm very unforgiving for those who don't think that we should take better steps to clean up the air of a city with the worst air rating in the country. My husband and I walk our local park, Candlelight Park, several nights a week, and pedestrian trips to the grocery store are more difficult with the lack of sidewalks in our neighborhood. We also frequent state parks, and a recent trip to Palo Duro Canyon proved a real eye-opener as it was staffed with volunteers and hasn't seen new trails since the days of the CCC. Houston has a 30% uninsured rate for health insurance, the worst in the country, and ironically we have some of the best medical care in the world along Fannin Street. Let's explore alternatives to improve healthcare access for all Houstonians. Strong consumer protections. Texas families have seen consumer protections weaken the last several sessions, and we pay some of the highest insurance and utility rates in the country. And that was before these last major hurricanes hit. If you're unlucky enough to have bought a lemon home the last several years, good luck getting any recourse, as the Home Builder Commission that was set up benefits the big home builders and contractors, and you're left holding the bag. The legislature has also weakened oversight of rate increases of insurance and utility rates, which in the past was subject to public hearings for commission approval. I understand the economic insecurities that many of us feel, as I've dealt with a layoff as a wife just 2 years ago, and as a daughter when my dad was laid off and we lived in Section 8 housing for a short while to get back on our feet. And any platform will be incomplete without some thought about making preparations and recovery from a natural disaster, such as the one we just experienced, better. I already mentioned our high insurance rates, and that was before Hurricane Ike. When I first moved to Houston in 1986, the U.S. usually only dealt with a major storm or hurricane along the Gulf of Mexico every 4 to 6 years, perhaps Florida or Louisiana or Texas, but not all three, and certainly not in the same year. But with global warming and climate change, the oceans are warming and making the situation worse. Our leaders have failed us in this regard, and Texas is one of only 15 states in the nation that still does not have a carbon action plan. If we truly want Texas to remain the energy capital of the world, we need to explore and pursue alternative energy sources to extend the life of our existing sources and address the growing energy needs of an expanding state. And lastly, our communities along the Gulf need to explore public investment and incentives to bury our power lines, at least to critical public services such as schools and traffic lights, so that life can return to normal for most of our residents as quickly as possible and with minimal disruption. In closing, I want to recount a story I've heard about the death of FDR and the throngs of people who paid tribute to his life and lined the railroad tracks as his body traveled throughout the country. A reporter asked a bystander paying tribute to Roosevelt if she had actually known FDR, and she responded, "No, I never knew him, but he knew me." We need more people in Austin who know us and our needs and our concerns, and I hope to provide that ordinary voice that has been drowned out by special interests. If you live outside District 138, you may not be able to vote for me, but I can vote for you and the values and interests that we share. Please join us in our efforts to improve the lives of thousands of Texans who want to be treated fairly and have better opportunities for their children and grandchildren. Thanks for taking the time to hear from me. I welcome your feedback and ideas for improving the quality of life in District 138 and all residents of this great state. Remember, vote Virginia Stoudemire McDavid on Tuesday, November the 4th.